Are there any drummers in the house?
I play percussion.
That's because you couldn't play anything else.
Shut up.
Come here, dude.
Hey, man. Did you touch my drum set?
Nope.
It's just weird, because seems like someone definitely touched my drum set.
Yeah, that is weird. 'Cause I didn't touch them.
I am warning you right now, if you touch my drums, I will stab you in the neck with a knife.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads Podcast. My name is Daniel, and this is episode 75 with Joshua Raposo from Zion Cymbals. Can you believe it? 75 episodes. We are 25 away from 100 episodes, which is insane. Yes, but anyways, this episode was Joshua. Like I said, he works with Zion Cymbals. He does the artist's relations, and we had just a great conversation over Skype. We've talked about church drumming because we both came from church drumming backgrounds and stuff like that. We talked about Zion Cymbals. He's also a distributor as well, so if you're looking for some Zion Cymbals, Josh will hook you up. And we also just talked about some things that are in the works for him and also for Zion. If you're not familiar with Zion, they are Turkish cymbals made out obviously in Turkey, but then they're brought here to the U.S. and I believe they're based out of California. But anyways, just wonderful craftsmanship into their cymbals. Joey Bones, he was a past guest and he uses Zion cymbals, and they just got a nice sound to them. There's quite a variety of sounds you can choose from. So go to Zion Cymbals to check them out, and if you want to purchase some, like I said, Joshua will hook you up. And yes, just thank you for Joshua. This was a late night. We did this at 10:30 at night. The kids were asleep, and I'd been really wanting to get him on the podcast and just talk cymbals and talk shop. So like I said, this was the conversation just went kind of organically. It was nothing real like seriously tying us down. We just kind of talked, which is, it's always nice when those conversations just kind of flow around naturally. But anyways, and then also, like always, please go like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. You probably already are following us on Instagram, but if you're not, please do. And then also subscribe to us on iTunes. That helps out tremendously. So if you could hit the subscribe button, and also if you could leave a positive review, say something like Drumheads Podcast is my favorite, or it's the best. But yes, positive reviews help out with the ranking of the podcast. So if it makes it more easy, if people are trying to look for it, it's going to pop up sooner and stuff like that. And like I said, the podcast has really figured out its legs, and I have finally getting comfortable doing it. So anyways, yes, please do that on iTunes. Please go follow. You can follow Joshua's Instagram page, which is Cymbal Business, I believe. I'm gonna have to look that up. Anyways, yes, he puts up videos like I do of him just jamming around. Nothing, it's funny. We're talking about, I put up videos myself, and I'm like, I'm not that great. I just like putting up videos, and if somebody finds it inspiring, great. If you don't, just keep those negative comments to yourself. But he does the same thing. He just kind of I think he just sets up his iPhone and just plays and records and puts it up, which is a cool thing to do. You don't have to have these fancy microphones and all this recording studio setup and all that. You can just have your camera or your GoPro and just go to town, and that's what it's about. It's just kind of it's just fun. So yeah, here it is, episode 75. I still can't believe it's 75 episodes, which is so awesome. And thank you. Here it is, 75 with Joshua Raposo of Zion Cymbals. Do it now, please. Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads Podcast, and I am joined by Joshua Raposo. Or did I say that right? Please tell me I said that right.
Yep. Raposo, you did.
I did. You know how I struggle with these names. But Joshua is the artist representative for Zion Cymbals. So how are you, Josh?
Man, I'm doing good. Everything's great.
Cool. How's your day been?
Well, pretty busy this time of year.
Oh yeah.
Getting ready for the Christmas holiday. We're trying to sell some cymbals and get some things moving.
Yep. And then also probably all those preparations for NAM as well.
Yeah. NAMM is a pretty big thing. We're actually going to hold off on a booth this year.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah. We just decided because we got some new ideas we want to present next year with the website and some other possible different methods of selling our cymbals. So we're going to kind of launch into a different direction this year, and hopefully next year be able to do a bigger booth with a much better budget.
Nice. Well, that sounds. I mean that makes a lot of sense. You don't want to rush things for sure.
No, and most of us are all just. I mean, in essence, we're just small business owners. So it's kind of your mom and pop operation, whereas your larger companies obviously are just saturated with endless funds. And when it comes to this, it's if you make $100, 75 of it is going back into the business.
Yeah.
And you're praying that you still make that other 25. So
yeah, I hear you.
That's pretty much how it works.
Cool. So how long you been with working with Zion Cymbals?
For a little over a year, and I guess I didn't really take on the proper title, I guess, of artist relations or whatever. I didn't really dive into that part of it until this past summer. But I've been a Zion artist and just kind of working with Zion for a while.
Nice. So how did you come about? Meeting the people at Zion and all that.
Well, Zion is a they have a large, I should say, a good presence on Instagram. And I think it was like 2 Black Fridays ago. Will had posted like a hot deal on a splash or something along those lines, or crash. I don't remember what it was. And so I jumped in on it and I bought one, and I got it back and I was like, man, this is an amazing cymbal. And I emailed him, and I bought several cymbals from him, and then come to find out, we knew we had some mutual friends in our church organization. He being in California, I being in Alabama, and we kind of hit it off, knowing that we kind of were in the same circles there, and believed in the same principles and whatnot. So we just kind of sparked up a friendship, and like anything, you just build relationships over time. So he came down for Summer NAMM. We had a booth at Summer NAMM, and that was pretty good for us. And I went up to Summer NAMM with him, and kind of did a little bit of a buy-in into Zion, and we basically started planning the future together.
Nice.
So yeah.
So how long has Zion Cymbals been around?
It's about 5 years.
5 years. That's what I thought.
Yeah, Will was a Will was a soul tone artist.
Oh, okay.
I guess when Soul Tone was given sponsorships to anybody back, 10 years ago, and and then he just kind of furthered that and decided. I think he was entrepreneurial, whatever. So he bought into a stick company, and then he started just wanting to make his own. He had these ideas for cymbals, and just kind of built it from there. So, it's had its ups and downs, like any type of venture like this. But right now, we're just we're growing. So circling the wagons a little bit, like I said, with regard to NAM this year. And to be frank with you, I mean, it's very expensive to do NAM. Plus, you have flights and all the travel expenses and all the things that go along with it.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that it's a wise business decision. And I just don't believe in. It's like anything. I'd rather put the money into the quality of the cymbal and have a good quality cymbal than to mass produce them.
Yeah, for sure.
So we give everyone, what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Same thing with with a booth. You don't want to, you just don't want to have a low budget booth.
Yeah. It's it
swallowed up.
It's it's sad to say that it's the aesthetics of it sometimes has to be that's what pops with people.
It's a dog and pony show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you don't want to go in there halfway.
No, I have a couple other companies, and my other businesses are similar to that. You in business, and I'm kind of bringing this into it, but in business, you basically have, in my opinion, you have two different types of companies. You have a company where you're self-employed, and you have a corporation. A self-employed company is basically a man, his truck, and a toolbox, and it's more of a hand-to-mouth. You go out, you make $500, and you keep putting back into your company. Eventually, you can build an operation like that, that you dream of, like a corporation. And then, obviously, with a corporation, you have many employees. You have a really nice brick and mortar. You can plan for budgets. You have predictability in different areas. But it takes time to get there. Now, with a small cymbal company, you have to have a long record of profitability, and then you can have, we could probably get lenders to give us $100,000 easily to really venture in and mark the brand. But I think you kind of lose touch with the basis of who made you who you are. And it seems like in the cymbal business, it's not necessarily with cymbals and drumming in general, it's a very passion-based industry. And I think if you set yourself apart in regards to your product, and you have something that no one else has, you have a superior product, superior quality, people tend to lean towards you and they'll be loyal to you. I think you can have that slow, productive growth and end up building into a company. And if you manage it properly, then you don't necessarily need outside funding over time, so it's kind of slow and steady.
Yeah. Well, and I think right now with, social media and, the various ways you can consume products, I guess you could say, is different than it was even 5 years ago. Between, Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all that, it's almost like you can almost market yourself. Like you don't have to hire a big ad agency, because especially with cymbals, it's, if you get the right people, someone like Joey Bones on Instagram playing your cymbals, that will probably sell more versus just putting up like your sterile kind of just like pictures, there's more.
Well, that's
there's some authentic. It's more authentic.
Well, that and for instance, artists. If the artist, everybody wants a cymbal deal, and if you're out there and you like the product and you have 40,000 subscribers, you're probably going to help sell some product for us. So we're interested in working with you. But you may be a heck of an artist that plays for some Elvis impersonator in Las Vegas. Even, you're a great drummer. You're a great drummer, but I'm sorry, man. You're locked in a small studio. You're not going to get us a lot of exposure. So we want you to play the cymbals, and we will still give you a great deal and an artist deal. But we definitely want more. An artist, if they're endorsing our product, then they should be, in essence, salespeople for us to some degree. Whether and that's why I love social media with Instagram, especially. For instance, Joe Bones. He's consistent. He's got a great following, and he's got and he likes the product, and that's important to us. And I'm not taking away from studio artists or anything along those lines, but we have several of them, and it makes a lot of sense to be diversified in that regard. But you look at Marcus Thomas, who's one of our artists, and he plays massive shows, with 70,000 people. Nate Robinson, who's playing for Lecrae, and just did an unbelievable album, Show Baraka. It is, and I'm just going to put a little plug in for that, even though that Show Baraka album by far is, if you're over 30, get the album, because it is an awesome album. And Nate Robinson is just a unique individual as far as his drumming and just incredible stuff. So yeah, we got a lot of really, really talented artists, and we push our product, enjoy our product. And I'll talk about something that most people probably don't know a whole lot about, but we had Eric Moore. Man, we pushed Eric Moore for years.
Yeah.
And Eric is he's an interesting guy. He is very, very talented. And I believe with all in me that he liked our product. He liked the cymbals. Problem is again, you get to the picture of a small business, and when he's in Singapore doing a show, I can't send him a set of cymbals from Singapore. He can't fly to Singapore and have an extra set of hi-hats sitting there for him. Zildjian can do that. We can't do that. We can't promote massive shows or drum clinics. In Eric's kind of following in that wave with Chris Coleman and some of these other cats.
Like Benny Greb,
Benny Greb and all, they're becoming clinicians, and they're making a lot of money off these clinics. Whether it's, if you got 1,000 people that show up and they're getting $30 a head, whatever it is, I mean, they're making money. Just the same reason why most of these black gospel drummers are moving towards rock music, because they get bigger crowds. The gospel scene doesn't pay much; they pay per show. You can go make $60 for playing for a half hour, an hour in a show, or you can, join a rock band and be a band member and make $70,000-$80,000 a year.
Yeah.
So, Eric moved on to Zildjian, and man, I sent a message to him, and I think it's GAB Productions or Promotions. I can't remember the guy's name. I'd have to get it back. I'd have to get it to you, but he is a really nice guy, and he started. He was Eric Moore's manager, and I guess he has the hookup with a lot of his artists are Zildjian artists. So, I remember messaging both of them and just saying, guys, hey, appreciate everything you did, because if it wasn't for Eric, I don't think Zion Cymbals would be where it's at. When he did that Drumeo session, I mean, it was all Zion Cymbals, and that session is going to be looked at for the next 10 years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, so those were good positive things. And I mean, man, you take those and you just move on. We have to find other artists. And if we start off with someone like Eric Moore and they get too big for us, they get too big for us. I want to see them do better, and it's not that I firmly believe with Zion, you get a better cymbal because it's a handcrafted cymbal. It's got a little more attention. You get some personal care.
Yeah.
And you're not kind of lost in the. But when you're that big, Chris Coleman with Mino, all these guys, when you're that big, I mean, you can. What do you do?
Well, you can. And you can snap your fingers and say, "I need blah blah blah," and they're gonna do it pretty much. Where I think. Right now, people my age, I'm 33, so I'm a little bit older than like the typical person on social media, but they like seeing the fact that you can reach out to you guys and say, hey, what kind of cymbal should I go with? Or, if they have questions, they can reach you more directly, where, if I wanted to get in touch with somebody at Zildjian, it's going to be a little bit harder.
Right.
And I think people like that. I mean, I do, because if I got a question, I can at least message you, or I can message somebody at Zion and say, hey, I got some questions. Can you help me out? And I get an answer, and that speaks volumes to a lot of people, I think. And people are more digging the more independent, smaller, I guess you could say, mom and pop type shops, I guess you could say these days.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and we hear things like that's why I told you we're opting out of NAMM, because you know what, we need to have more artists like Joe Bones getting on there and explaining what the different sounds of our cymbals are, being a voice for us. I think that makes more sense than even having a really powerful website with sound samples, because you're constantly following people that hear it. That play, and you can hear what they're playing. And you got guys like Mark McClary, who just did a big album for. Oh goodness, man! It just totally slipped my mind. Only because I'm talking to you.
That's how it always works.
Yeah. Big gospel. Oh my gosh. Anyway, these are unbelievable. But they're not like Instagrammers.
Yeah.
They don't do a lot of posting. And those guys have a place with artist relations for me, because they get these big shows. And, they got a lot of kids who are sitting there watching them, and, they're wanting to know what they're playing, and everyone pays attention to gear.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most drummers are a gearhead, and if you're not a gearhead,
there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, I think you're a closet gearhead.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because they know. I mean, I know guys who have always said, "Oh, I don't care what kind of cymbals I play and stuff like that."
Yeah,
you'll see them spending you'll see them spend an extra few minutes on someone else's kit if they like the way it sounds.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the way I found out about you guys was Manny Lewis, or Manny, blanking on his last name.
Lemus,
there we go. I found out. Yeah,
he's an incredible drummer.
Yeah, I found out through about Zion through him, just following him. I'm like, oh, this is some, just they have a certain look to them. You're like, wow, this is interesting, and and there's just something about a hand hammered cymbal that's different than your standard pressed cymbal, I guess you could say too. And you can tell, even when you just hit it with your finger, it just vibrates a different way than just stamped. Right. Yeah. But To jump back a minute, so how long have you been playing drums?
Myself, I guess since I was probably about 8 years old or so, maybe 10, somewhere in that range. It's kind of a interesting deal. I grew up in a church in New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Oh,
And,
okay,
yeah, my pastor was an old hippie. So we
Nice.
would play kind of like Creedence Clearwater Revival stuff. And the drummer was the valedictorian of Berkeley. But he was a big band jazz drummer, kind of
like a
yeah, obviously.
Buddy Rich and
Yeah, or
or
the newest guy on the street is Brian Carter, and he's unbelievable. Yeah, he's a great drummer. But anyway, he was so he would play some of those songs and just have these big, elaborate solos, and so I just sit on that front pew, man, and just stare at him. And yeah, he had a wig, so he'd really get into his wig would fall off. And actually, I swear to you, one time, this is God's honest truth, he got so excited that he fell off the drums, the stool broke, and the seat rolled down the middle aisle.
Nice.
Never forget it. So yeah, we had some hot church then, and then my pastor's son was a friend of mine, and my best friend, and his uncle, which is my pastor's father, lived in Alabama. And so, long story short, after living all over the place with my friend Dawson, ended up moving to Alabama. And this church here was like, it was a really multicultural church, but the music was like black gospel. We have like a Shirley Caesar. My wife is a pianist, and she was raised by a unbelievable black gospel pianist. So my wife, you close your eyes, and I promise you, my wife, she's got R&B in her. She's just she's an incredible pianist. So I came down here, and I had to learn how to play shout music from 70s rock. So that took a little bit of a learning curve, and anyway,
yeah, for sure.
That's pretty much all I play. It's just a lot of the late, gospel stuff now. But yeah, that's how I started playing.
And that stuff is it can be challenging if you're not familiar with it. Like I grew up as a church drummer as well, but more, I guess you could say, like contemporary / mixed in with some hymns, the old school hymns, but it was more I'm trying to think, like Chris Tomlin and that kind of that crowd, and but that music's pretty straightforward. It's got the same kind of beat, but when it comes to black gospel, it's very intricate and very complicated.
Oh, and it's dynamic and passionate. So and here's the thing is, in most black gospel churches or black churches, there's like 5 drummers. So there is very competitive, and they learn from each other. So that's obviously all these shed sessions that have come out of that scene.
Oh yeah.
I never had that. And all I had when I first moved, YouTube was starting to come around. So, watching Chris Coleman when he first won Guitar Center Drum Off. Just stuff like that. I never was into like Jeff Beccaro. I was never into like the rudiment side of it or any of the fundamental side of it. But I realized quickly that I had to learn, how to play clean paradiddle and double strokes and all these other things. And so I sought out drummers, and the most influential drummer for me is Jerome Flood. And I've spent a lot of time with Jerome Flood. He's come to Birmingham, and I've had several private lessons with him. And he is an incredibly intentional drummer. and definitely makes me feel like I am horrible whenever I play next to him.
Yeah.
You know,
I hear
you
you.
have those days like you get out of Sunday night service like, man, I killed it tonight.
Uh-huh.
Then you go home and watch Jerome Flood or Chris Coleman. You're like, God, dog, man, I hate these drums. I guess that's everybody.
Yeah. There's a drummer, Darren King from Mute Math. He's one of those guys I watch him play, and I'm like, dude, I just quit. I'm gonna throw in the towel. There's just no way I'm ever gonna be that good. But I guess it's good to have people like that, that you look up to, and you can say, you can strive to be, that good, and you have a role model. So
Yeah, and then when you find them and they're I guess in essence are kind to you, and
yeah.
they take the time and they teach you, and I recommend to anybody listening to check out Jerome Flood and his lessons, or just I use a lot of his fill-ins, and then another kid, Kyle Jefferson, who is out of Nashville, and Kyle is he does hip hop, which is Jay Forgiven is his hip hop name. Anyway, I've learned some really cool paradiddle fill-ins from him, and man, you just seek out if you don't have anybody, you just got to seek out people. But YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff is great. But man, once you get behind the kit with someone and physically see them playing like that, I think that's really what helps all those things set in.
Yeah, for sure. Now, can you read music? Because I can't. I'm dyslexic, so it's just like it's all over the page.
I can't sight read, man, but I can. I did some studio work for I worked with a hip hop artist there in Atlanta, and I recorded a couple songs with him. But I would just kind of chart it out myself on some areas, but it wasn't like, if Larnell Lewis got there, he'd just be like, dude, what is this? This is just something up, so but I understand the concept of reading, but I cannot sight read. I am a very visual person, so like, you can sit there and tell me left, right, or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I can do what I see, but to understand the accents and all that stuff, I really, really have to see it. I have to hear it. I have to have someone play it.
Yeah, it's I'm the same way. I have to hear it, and I panic. Like I would panic when I was in school,
right?
Because did you do any kind of like school band or anything like that?
Man, I begged my parents to let me play the drums. My mom stuck me with the clarinet. That lasted like 3 weeks. And but the church is what obviously what saved me.
Yeah, so. I did marching band and stuff like that. I mean, I faked them all the way through it, and but it was more or less it was church drumming for me. Was the thing I did, and it was practicing 2 or 3 times a week, playing on Sunday. Three services on a Sunday morning, and then a Sunday night service, and then a Wednesday night service, and then they had, they'd have a Tuesday singles, service. I'm like, this everything,
I think you get a whole lot more playing than most people really realize as far as, people playing a band or whatnot. I mean, they have rehearsals, but the actual live exposure, that's, Calvin Rogers is, I mean, obviously he's good in studio and out of studio, but I mean, when he's out there on the stage and like, from my experience playing in conferences or something like that, you got 600, 700, 800 people, 1,000 people in the room, and there's an energy there, and you don't make mistakes. I don't know what it is, but you play that live stuff, and then you're doing crossovers and stops and all sorts of stuff, and you're just like, man, where do these chops come from? And all of a sudden, all this stuff just, and it helps. But
yeah,
and you go back to reading music and whatnot. what has helped me is a metronome, playing to a metronome, and just a click, not necessarily tracks. I don't play to tracks and all that. We're about to start that, and I can play the tracks. I can play in a click track. When I first got in that studio, I had never played in the studio before. And you got Alex Faith, you got all these big producers in there, and Alex Faith was worked with Lecrae, and he's friends with Nate Robinson, and I'm just like, okay. And here I am, most people, I don't post pictures of myself, but I'm 6'3", 270, and I do not look the part of a hip hop artist, man. I just don't. So here I am playing these hip hop grooves, and just playing this little pocket, and they're just like, man, he nailed that after the first take, and I was amazed at myself, but I was like, man, I actually did this, but man, yeah, that you know how it is, that nervous stuff just hits you, and your hands, your wrist goes numb, and but it's hard to disconnect from that.
Yeah. Well, and it can be a nerve-wracking thing for sure. But what kind of kit are you rocking right now? Because every time you post a video on Instagram, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, well, he's got wood hoops on there. I'm like, what is that? It's got to be a custom kit, but yeah.
It's an AOT.
AOT. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 10, 12, 14 with a 20-inch kick. And it was actually a friend of mine gave it to me.
Nice.
He paid $6,000 for it 10 years ago. Never used it, and he just felt to kind of donate it to the church. I like it, but I don't like it.
I hear you. Yeah.
So I kind of play it just because of what it is. I have two other kits that are my favorite. I have a Brooklyn, Gretsch Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's custom size is 10, 12, 14 with a 20. And then my favorite kit is a DW short stack. That's 10, 12, 14. 15 actually, 15-inch pancake floor tom with a 20s kick, and that is, I really like the 8-inch tom. It helps, just do some, and I tune them pretty flat. I really like the what do you call the blackheads, the Remo blackheads.
Oh, the black suede.
Yeah,
yeah,
something or. Evans, I really like the Evans better. They, I keep saying Onyx.
Yeah, it's
the
Onyx.
To be called Onyx.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or hang on, no, black chrome. I'm looking at my kit because I've got.
That's right. Now it's black chrome. It used to be Onyx.
Yeah.
So I have old one. Yeah. And so that's what I play.
Nice. I like the short stack toms. That's the shallow ones, right?
Yeah, they just have. Really simple, real short. Let's just say low fundamentals.
Yeah.
Don't really. They're not. They're kind of punchy. They just don't. They don't have a ton. You can tune them up. You can tune them down.
Yeah.
You got good range.
And
I love them.
You could sit lower because I had a kit. I had a Tama kit that had the hyperdrive sizes.
Yeah.
And I had to sell that kit, but God, I love those toms. You could sit low and you could almost have them flat, and really get a.
Well, that's how I play the AOT. But the trick is a 20-inch kick. I've always all my drums have 20-inch kicks because I play my toms flat. And same thing on that AOT. I definitely wouldn't play the AOT with a 22-inch kick because the toms are. 7-inch tom and an 8-inch tom, I think. But and that kit really does. I mean, it's just got its own sound. Those AOTs are just AOT really does make a wonderful sounding kit.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's not for the church setup. It doesn't cut through like I'd like it. I guess that's why I'm not too crazy about it.
Yeah. Aya is a good like almost pop rock, I guess you could say, more than it's
Mhm.
not it's not a good, like, if you're trying to cut through the mix kind of kit.
Nope.
Yeah.
And but again, complaining it was given to me.
Yeah.
But I'll keep it up there for a little while, and then I'll swap it out. So.
Yeah. So what kind of church are you playing in right now?
We're a Pentecostal church,
Okay.
so it's man, it's straight. It's. I mean, you see some of the stuff I post.
Mhm.
It's lively music, man. It's not patty cake stuff. So
Yeah. Well,
it's good worship.
yeah, it's funny because I went to Illinois one time, and I went to a black church where it was a Pentecostal, and gosh, that drummer just threw down like just it was amazing.
Oh
I
man,
spent the whole time just bugging out about the drummer, just how great he was, and
the dynamics.
mhm.
I mean, it's a man. It's in that church culture and the music. It's
Uh-huh.
just.
And
I mean, yeah.
yeah, and it's not a short set that you play either. I was used to
Oh no.
I'm used to playing like the 3-4 songs that are timed at right at 3 minutes each, and you were done. Where your environment in Pentecostal is more music, and then a little preaching, then some more music, and then some preaching, music.
Yeah.
It's all over the place, and I like that.
We're more of I guess we kind of fall more into like the Israel Houghton style,
Mhm.
because it's like we don't necessarily back up the preacher.
Mhm.
And I had we had a preacher come in from Houston. My father-in-law is the pastor now. Is my father-in-law, but
Mhm.
he I mean, man, we have a lot of people come through. A lot of evangelists come through.
Yeah.
This guy was out of, I think, Houston. Anyway, he's played back in the 90s. Now he was the drummer for Kirk Franklin.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, he traveled with Fred Hammond. He
Mhm.
was a traveling drummer with these, but he was like 16, 17 years old at the time, making like $2-3 grand a week.
Mhm.
He's
Mhm.
got an incredible story. And so he came in and he wanted to play like after one Sunday night after service was like done, and for altar call. Man, everyone's like, man, he sat you down, son. The whole, and
Yeah.
he just and he's just like, man, I can't even compete with these new cats, is what he kept saying, because and he was, I mean, he was old. He was like 40 at the time.
Yeah.
But man, I was just like, gosh, that's like, listen, whatever this guy's got. And that's when I started searching out people who were, just way beyond my means, and just started learning dynamics, man. But going back to what we sound like, it's more that Israel. We do some Ty Tribbett stuff. We do a lot of Byron Cage. We do some Shirley Caesar stuff. I don't know. We're all over the place, but it's got our own sound to it too. So it's not, But you mentioned it. I have, I video myself just on my iPhone.
Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, some of my we open up with a song, and that's usually like 4 to 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Then we have like handshaking,
Mhm.
and that's like maybe 5 minutes, and then it goes like we do like a really big worship song, and dude, that runs like 15 minutes, and then like then we have exhortation. So one of the preachers grabs a mic and fires everybody up a little more, and then we go into a slow song which runs another 15 minutes because everyone's praying, and we're end up baptizing people, and it's just an awesome experience. But by the time that's all done, I mean, yeah, I can sit there, I can play shout. I've played shout for like 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I played an altar call for like 40 minutes. I mean, just playing shell, my arms are falling off, and I just push myself. Like, man, no, I'm gonna make this. Everyone's like, "You want me to tag in?" I'm like, "No, I got this." You know.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's
So I sweat a lot.
yeah. I mean, I do too. I mean, I'm Mediterranean, so I can just move a muscle, and I'm like, I'm drenched in sweat. I'm sweating right now, and it's
Right.
It's
Right.
30 degrees outside. But
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny,
Daniel, a guy named Dan.
Oh.
Oh, go ahead. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, you're fine. I'm like, oh crap, what's that? Oh yeah. But I kind of took a break from doing church drumming because I got burnt out. Because you can only do so much, and then you kind of just like, oh, it's like work, and then I tapped out. But then at the same time, they were moving toward click tracks, and I'm not a fan.
Right. Yeah. I'm learning. There's a Trey Calhoun is one of our drummers for art Zion artists, and he's gonna start working with me with a DTX and some different things. I don't necessarily, we don't like time stuff, but it helps with the fill. It fills in the music when you have a click track, or a something, especially on a slow song. It opens up with
Some
the
strings.
intro and whatnot, and then
yeah.
I mean, but we're definitely more of a band than anything. And if you look up, what I was going to tell you is Daniel Bernard. He's out of Austin, Texas, I believe. He's just a local guy in our church organization. Phenomenal drummer. He's got really good video. He's not even anything to do with Zion, but he is. His church is very, very precise, but they still have good. They still have a mix of that, and they have good worship. So it's, the thing about for church is we're not there to have a show. So we have, we're there to perform a job, and that's to usher in good worship. And at the end of the day, it is a job for me. It's a lot of work. My Sundays I'm at church at 7:30. I get home from afternoon service at 1:00, and then I'm there at 4:30 for practice. And then, I don't get home till 11. So, I mean, and I own a business that keeps me completely busy. I'm talking 12 7-hour days. I'm on the road. I fly everywhere around the country. And so, it is a job, but I try to do things to keep it fresh. And I know that, to me, it's a ministry. So it's what I do. I'm probably not going to be playing the drums when I'm 50 or 60 in church. But, my job as a minister is to do, just like anything, I want to eventually empower somebody else that can be better than me. And that's kind of my next move going forward, is to come up with more organized lessons, expose some of these young kids, and just see who sticks, and get some good artists here to do some clinics in the church with me, people who are better teachers than I am, and hopefully get some. But I mean, man, it's just church, and it's, when I grew up, it was, if you got up there and you got off beat, it was okay. But now, the church is growing. We're, 600 people. We're definitely an informal church compared to most people. But, you got a lot of other talented musicians who are working hard. You don't necessarily want some 14-year-old kid up there just trying to hold a beat. So, you got to make a place for them somehow.
Yeah.
Or else, what are you going to do? Just keep playing for the rest of your life. Yeah, you can get burnt out. I understand that.
Yeah, well, and because I was playing, it was the church here in Asheville. It's considered a mega church, so there was 3,000 people per service, and
that's big.
but I felt that pressure. I could not make mistakes, and I'm very, tough on myself when I did make mistakes, and I couldn't take it anymore. I'm like, I got to tap out and take a little breather for a while, and so I did. I just left, and luckily,
Yeah, no,
luckily it was
healthy.
and there was somebody there that took over, and it was all divinely planned. But it's people think, oh, it's such a great thing, and it is. But you've got to be careful and not burn yourself out, and make yourself miserable, I guess is what
If it
I'm
was
saying.
if it was your only job, it'd be different.
Yeah, it wasn't
know.
my only job too, so it was I was doing two jobs, playing drums and then working in a medical warehouse full time is it's a lot of time that you're not with your family and doing other things.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I hear you.
Try having your wife as the music leader.
Oh gosh.
It poses a challenge. We don't fight about much. We only fight about two things: what I eat, because that's the only thing I ever lie to her about, and and music. So I mean, I get the evil eye from her, and she's got a talkback mic. So she'll be, what was that? Or something like that. And she'll be like, and now she's pregnant, so she'll be in that talkback mic, and she'll be like, I'm hungry. We got to get out. As soon as church is over, we're going to the car. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
And stuff.
Or she's in the talkback mic.
Like that. So I got to want.
Do what?
Yeah. She's blasting me all. Yeah, she's in the talkback mic, and she just talks, and blasts me all the time. But
or she's like, "Did you eat Bojangles and not get me anything?" Like, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where's my Starbucks?
Yeah, it's funny.
So,
well, to I guess to wrap this up. So what's the the overall goal for Zion? This since 2016 is about to wrap up. What's 2017's kind of overall goal going to be for you guys?
Well, I am I'm two things to Zion as far as artist relations, and then I own a distributorship with him. So what I'm doing is I'm going to build my distributorship, and I got something that's really, really unique coming up, and it's just going to take a little bit of time to develop it. Don't want to give out too many details.
I hear you.
But I can tell you this much: it's got people will be able to buy cymbals. You'll be able to buy an 18-inch crash for like pennies on the dollar.
Nice.
So, or at least have the opportunity to do that. So, and then without cheapening the brand by any means.
Yeah.
So, so I got that in the works. And then I want to get some more Joe Bones out there.
I hear you. Yeah.
I need people, Instagrammers that are just, they have the teaching lessons. All the ones that Meinl is not grabbing. It's pretty much.
I was
want to get the cymbals.
Yeah, I was noticing that. I'm like, it's like in a week period, it's like, what? This guy, and that. I'm like, okay, they're just grabbing up everybody.
It's I'm not gonna bash the product. It's a good product too,
yeah.
So, but it's kind of bringing it down to a level where it's achievable, because those guys are good drummers.
Oh yeah.
But they're not Chris Coleman and Larnell Lewis and stuff like that. They're not going to draw 60,000 people in a crowd, but they'll draw 60,000 people on Instagram. So it's important, and I think I think the artist benefits from it, because I'm sending out Joe some cymbals tomorrow. He'll have he'll have his dark epics.
Oh, nice.
Right now he's playing the brilliant epics. He'll have some dark epics, and I think I'm going to send him a set of dark furies. And those are those real dark furies that we have. I got some 15-inch hats and some 22-inch ride. I think I'm just going to send them. I just want them to do some videos with them, talk about the cymbals, and then send them back. I noticed Predator Drums did that with him with a snare, and that's what I think is, just letting people touch them and people that will give them back to you too. So
yeah, for sure.
That's important.
Yeah. It's a cool time right now. I started this podcast 2 years ago, and I came into it thinking, oh, I know everything about drums. I've been playing since I was 9. And then I started. I'm like, oh no, I don't know anything. We have just scratched the surface, Daniel. And it's an epic journey for sure.
Good deal.
And it's fun. And it's fun.
I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, well, it's fun talking, to people like you and just talking shop. I think it's important to just have conversations and and just let them go where they're gonna go.
Yeah, and I hope a lot of people will hear this and either are inspired or critical or whatever they want to be above it. But I hope it gets some exposure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's each week someone new. More and more new people keep listening, and I think they like hearing the stories of and especially the Eric Morris story. I was hesitating to even mention it, but you brought it up, and it gives a little clarity to just I guess you could say inside baseball for what goes on in the drumming world.
Oh man, it's a positive. You can look at it. You can be negative about something like that, or resentful, or whatever the other words I'm looking for. But
yeah,
I looked at it from a positive perspective and was like, you know what? Zion, when Eric was really coming up, Zion was his best cymbal company. I mean, he went from Octagon or whatever that other Brazilian company was, and then he went to Zion, and Zion really helped during the height of his promotion of his career. When he was suicidal tendencies and all that stuff, he was a Zion artist. And then, obviously, he did that big deal in Singapore, and his cymbals got lost in transport, and then he ended up Zion. Zildjian just sent up a set of cymbals while he was there, and it's no different than Predator Drums trying to send him keep him on a set of drums while he's traveling all around the world. I mean, you see him on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, YouTube. He's playing 5 different DW kits. DW, they just have the connections. They have the distributorship. They can send him a kit in Brazil. They can just call up one of their stores and say, hey, Eric's coming in, and bring him a kit. And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
And you'd be a fool to be upset about that or try to compete with that, because you just can't.
Yeah.
You can't. Now, someone like Joe Bones, I'd probably take it a lot more personally. I like Joe as well. He's a big guy, but I think I could take him. So,
that's funny.
No.
I think people. That's the one thing about podcasting. You have to be honest. I learned that the hard way when I first started the podcast. Is I kept my opinions and stuff to myself, and and people could see through it. And I think the more open and where you just keep it honest, people appreciate that. Because you get inundated by so many things in life where people are being fake. That now
right.
you have a chance to be authentic and people like it. So it's a fun,
right.
It's a good time.
And that, I'm going to say this one last thing, and that's the beauty. I mean, I've had my videos get like 1,600 views, 1,800 views, and I've got like 900 followers, 800 followers, and I'm just like, man, it's almost like it's like affirmation, and it's like, man, people actually are interested in what I'm doing, and it's just, you don't really get any negative review. I'm not the greatest drummer, but it's just like, what people like seeing because 90% of the drummers out there are just like me. We're just normal guys who have other lives outside of drumming. And let's see who is actually implementing what is out there, what these guys who are above us are teaching us, and that's let's watch Eric Moore, and then let's see who's able to do some of Eric Moore's fill-ins,
Yeah.
and wow, that guy did it in a song, or this guy, man, he just does it. Yeah, he can sit there and play a 4/4 beat, and then just look at that crossover. That's simple. I can do that. But can he do it in the song?
Yeah. It's two different things, yeah. And
it is.
And
it is.
Yeah, and like you said, I put up videos of me playing sometimes, and it's just more or less I'm kind of pulling the Joey Bones kind of route and just playing just to play. And I'm not trying to show off. Or a lot of times I'm like, oh, that sounded horrible, but let's go ahead and put it up anyways,
Yeah,
And,
I put up my mistakes and people liked it.
Yeah.
It was got like over 1,000 views.
yeah,
I was like, wow. I was like, but that's me. I'm honest.
yeah,
I got my wife in the microphone fussing at me. I'm not getting signs from the music leader, and it's just. But you know what? I went in there. I did my job, and the videos help you when you record yourself. You're like, man, I sounded terrible. So I need to get better. And you start cleaning up. And you start playing a little more intentional. And I'm telling you guys, anybody listening to this, if you can afford to spend some time with someone like Jerome Flood, call him, text him, send his Instagram message. That guy, I mean, he'll beat you up a little bit. He'll okay, now where are you going with that, or something. But
yeah.
But I posted several of his videos, and I think one of them got like 15,000 likes, something.
Nice.
I'm
looking him up right now. I'm like, I'm gonna follow this guy ASAP.
yeah. He's one of my favorite drummers.
Yeah.
Him and Larnell Lewis. I like
Nice.
Larnell a lot too.
Nice. And I guess to wrap this up, I always like to ask this one question because I love to hear the answers that are, the different answers I get. Is do you have any other hobbies that you do besides playing drums and your full-time job, or is it just those two things?
Next Tuesday, I am going down to my 2,500 acre hunting club.
Oh, nice.
And I will be shooting. Try to shoot at least a monster buck, and if I get him, I'll post a drumstick in his horns for you.
Nice.
Yeah, my 5B, my power 5Bs that I play.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think it's always
hunting.
good.
Yep, I like hunting.
Yeah, I think it's always good to have that little hobby that's that you can separate yourself from. If it's drumming, being a full-time drummer and full-time whatever, you do. But some people don't. Some people just breathe, sleep, eat drums. That's all they do is drums. So it's good to know that, I'm a movie guy, so I like to watch movies and love to be with my family. Those are my, releases.
Yeah.
So it's always good to hear people's other things.
Yep. Yeah, and obviously, as far as those are my hobbies. Obviously, I'm like you. I have a good, awesome family, and then I have like I said, a pretty demanding job. I own a car dealership, so I sell a ton of cars and travel around buying cars around the country. So that keeps me on my edge.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
That's about it, my friend.
Well, cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you being on. I enjoyed our conversation. It's everyone I do, every podcast I record, like I learned something I didn't know before. So, thank you.
Yeah, let's get together, and I will try to get you some of these Zion artists too. I mean, I think you need to hear from them, and it's not just from a selfish point of view for Zion, but
No, I hear you. I hear
a
you.
lot of these guys.
Well, and
but a lot of these guys, I'm just being frank. I mean,
yeah,
a
well,
lot of these
and
guys are just they're incredible drummers.
well, and that's what I love about doing this podcast is talking to drummers who don't necessarily get the big exposure.
Right.
Like an Eric Moore. I think it's important to have, the little guy, because that's what I consider myself. It's just the little guy. I'm just some schmuck in North Carolina. I'm a nobody.
Right.
But I want to.
Yeah, but you're doing a great job in the community for drums, and a lot of people follow you, and you repost a lot of us. What I would consider myself small too. So it's a chain thing, man, and it's
Yeah.
we're all in this together. I mean, it's just fun, like you said. It's just the times have changed, the exposure, all that stuff. It's exciting, man. It's fun.
It is fun.
It's a good, it's a passion-based hobby.
Yeah,
So.
and it's not like it was when I was in high school back in the 90s.
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. There's just, I mean, I'll say this one last thing because I just keep talking, but
No, you're fine.
With drums, even I was just telling someone this the other day. I mean, I can go buy, like you talk about your Tama Hyperdrive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a good kit for a reasonable price.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shoot, $1,000 set of Pearl exports back in the 90s was popular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was poplar mahogany,
Mm-hmm.
and they sounded terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to put cloth underneath the hood, the heads, and I mean, there was nothing you could do to make that drum sound good.
Mm-hmm.
And now you go and buy, when PDP came out, it's like, man, you got a maple kit for $1,000, and
Yeah.
it actually sounded. Or my favorite kit, and I wish I never sold it. I had a Ludwig Epic.
Oh, okay.
I think it was, yeah. Chinese kit, but man, I had it in the church, and I had a ton of people compliment on, what kit is that? What kind of kit is that?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, kits have changed.
Cymbals have changed.
Cymbals have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, the first thing I think I ever ordered off Instagram that I found on Instagram was Low Boy Beater.
Oh, that was the first thing I ordered too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. I mean. And I think everyone should play them. They're awesome.
Oh yeah.
And then Big Fat Snare Drum came out before they got their distributorship.
Mm-hmm.
There's different stick companies, and there's all sorts of stuff. That's what you talked about my vision going forward. This little deal I have, it's going to. I'm going to kind of have like an online music store, I guess you would say, to give a little more insight into it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to have Cymbals and exclusively Zion. And then I'm going to get into different, like Love Custom Drums. I love his stuff. I want to order, 10 of his 5x14 steel drums and sell them on my site. So that's kind of along the lens. But hopefully I can come back and give you some insight on it once we launch it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Promote it.
For sure. I love having repeat guests. I had on Dave Collingwood. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a
check him out.
He's a cymbal maker out. It's just him. He just makes cymbals out in where is he from? Bristol, in the UK. And
okay.
He just makes cymbals for a hobby. He doesn't. It's not like his job or anything. He just likes to do it, and it was fun talking to him and just talking how you just come about like one day. Oh, I'm going to make cymbals.
Right. Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah,
there's a ton of cymbal companies out there that are good, man. I mean, that's Jerome is my friend, and Jerome's Trexis or TRX. I don't remember what he is. He promotes those cymbals. And I mean, I haven't played them. I don't know anything about them, but I mean, it seems like there's a lot of different companies out there that, But there's nothing like Zion Cymbals. They are the best cymbal company in the world.
Yes, nothing compares to them.
Nothing compares, and I am not biased.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and hit stop real quick here in a sec. But yeah, again, thank you for being on, and yeah, I'm always happy to have you back on.
Good deal.
So I'll see you guys. So let me go ahead and hit the end of the recording real quick.